Okay, I see there's three different things in there that talk about, and I've opened my, Cece and I have been talking both back and forth. Anybody wants to talk to us about this, we'll bring it up. We'll be glad to talk to them about it and listen to whatever discussion there may be on it, and go from there, okay?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
let me just say a couple of things in the work session about the veto for those I haven't been able to talk to directly. Essentially where this came from, and I'll try to keep it short, was just feedback of not knowing about the process and not being able to give thoughts to the map and the districts. And listen, that may be something that, quite honestly, we could have done better at the city to make sure that we publicized what public hearings were going to happen. And when I heard that, really that next day, I just told them I hadn't been keeping up with it, and I hadn't. Really been looking at some other things as it relates to the city, but just had not kept up with that process. And there were probably some things that we could have done better to, make sure those that wanted to be a part of the process knew how the process worked, could talk to you all about, their thoughts on lines and neighborhoods and that sort of thing. It's just not something that I truly follow. But what I didn't want this to be is not so much, I haven't looked at the plan, so I don't know how great the plan is or not. There are those who want to have their say-so about the plans, and so they asked if we would, if there was anything that we could do. Well, the only thing that, you can do under Act 618 is veto it. It ain't anything opposite of you guys. I mean, end up being this was adopted. It was just to try to make sure that those who felt that they did not get a chance to give input, they weren't aware of the vote, they weren't aware of the public hearing, that opportunity to speak to it and share some of those thoughts. And I do think it's a teachable moment for us to learn as an administration is that, not everybody watches the agenda like we think. Not everybody, pays attention to when we announce the public hearings. We got to do a better job of publicizing those public hearings, just like we do when you all have an initiative that you're behind as a council. We try to do that, or when I'm trying to publicize something that the city is trying to highlight. And we didn't do a good job of publicizing that. And this is the only toolkit that Act 618 gives the mayor to allow folks to have that input, to be able to, have the discussion and to kind of have their say-so about something that's going to be in place for the next 10 years. And I do understand that. One point that was brought up was, an ordinance, you can change that in 6 months. You can change it in a year. Redistricting is 10 years. And I understand that. And I, probably was not as sensitive as I should have been to that issue when it was first brought up, to bring it up to y'all and to make sure that the public was aware of it. So just wanted to share that with you about
We appreciate your input. Okay.
that process.
Thank you.
All right. Number 2, Tommy.
Yes, sir. The Planning Commission recommended the rezoning of this property to develop single-family homes.
And it's now agricultural residential, so he could develop, what could he develop in there now?
It's single-family agricultural, and they want to do R50.
Could he go R50 there without agriculture?
There's some around there.
Because he wants to go to R50 with now, single-family R50. But residential, but agricultural residential won't allow him to go 50, or would they let him go?
Not in the density that is required.
Oh, it has to have density, okay. We got an email last night from somebody saying they were upset about it because they didn't think it'd been properly done. But it went to the planning commission, so advertised everything like we always do, so.
We had a public hearing, and it was approved.
Yeah.
It was approved unanimously.
Okay. Yeah,
Charlie, the email we got, Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong, this is down closer to Troy Highway, right?
yeah.
Isn't this property down near the property we just recently
Yes.
rezoned?
Yes.
And I don't know what concerns, I mean, the only concern I can think of is gonna be, he's gonna say traffic. And there's
Well,
nothing we can do on Taylor Road.
No,
I mean,
well, your traffic could, in all honesty, go back down Troy Highway.
Yeah.
Or down Bond Road from there, so that's not,
Tommy, you know how
Not
many
a
total
growth in there.
homes this is gonna be?
I didn't understand your question.
Do you know how many total homes this will be?
No,
Total
sir, I
houses?
don't. Let me see, it's 20 acres and probably 5 or 6 to the acre.
5 or 6 to the acre? Okay.
It's about 100.
Yeah, that's about what the other guy did.
Yeah, about 100.
Charlie, we can listen. I mean, I don't have any issues
Yeah,
with it.
it's in your district, and we'll
Yeah,
just.
nobody,
Okay,
I mean,
I
hard to
don't see
argue
a
over
problem with it.
houses.
Yeah.
50-foot lots, I mean, you go up to Hempstead, and they're doing less than that
Yeah.
on their project, so it fits and go to Waters, and a lot of places got less than 50,
We listen. Keep moving.
Okay, item number 3.
Item 3 was recommended by the planning commission. It'll be age-restricted apartments, 55 and over.
Clay's not here today, but he's
Yeah,
for this.
Yes, he's in favor of
He's
that.
okay with it, so, all right. We had, I think there was one person who wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I think Karen Jones is gonna talk
We'll,
about it.
we'll see that then. Okay, item number 4 is the lounge that's been around, she started one way and she's headed another way, and then everything I see is something else. I don't really know what this does, but to me, exotic lounge doesn't send a message of a quiet bar.
Sound like a great place to go, Charlie.
Yeah, I know, back when I was about 20 years old.
Sound like a great place to be.
Yeah, I got a feeling what might be some things there, might be something to see. All right. I know Brantley's not happy with it, and I'm not happy with it either, so.
I'm not either, Charlie.
All right, I think it's,
Come on, guys.
the little lady, I think it's
We'll
front,
see.
it's front for somebody. All right, number 5.
We're gonna take a voice vote on that, Mr. Jim, right?
No.
Let's do like the legislature.
Been walk, yeah. All right, on number 5, the purchase of the land on Maxwell Boulevard.
That's Marcus, could you flip it just a little?
Huh? Oh,
We
you
just
got
have a
it.
map behind you. This would be an authorization of a purchase and sale agreement to the adjacent property owner, and this would be an opportunity for the city to support the expansion of the Southland Trucking Company. Alabama-owned, they have about 8 locations. At this time, they're contemplating an expansion. So this would give authorization for the mayor to do it. They 8 employees. The investment is about $1.5 million is what they're proposing, should they decide to go forward.
Yeah,
Any specific questions?
I've had quite a bit of conversation with them over the year, and they've run into some roadblocks along the way, but I think they still want to build something there. So $1.5 million in a new building and 8 new employees.
That's what they're
big time
proposing.
deal.
8,000 square foot building is
Yeah,
their,
it's a
what their
big time
plans.
deal. It's good. It's good for us, and he's already got a very good looking business out there. If you've been out that way, his business is very, very, very reputable of the neighborhood. So I'm all for it. Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks. Thank you.
Anybody got any questions on this?
No.
Okay.
That's pretty cut.
All right, let's go to, all right. Mr. Conway, you going to tell us about Rebuild Alabama annual report? You want to tell us at 5 o'clock, you want to tell us now?
He needs to do it at 5 o'clock.
He does, okay.
Yes, sir, he
Do it
does.
at 5 o'clock, so you're
That's when y'all do
You're
official
excused.
business.
All right, you don't want to hear anything right now?
You don't, well, you can have to say it again, so I just say it at 5 o'clock. I don't want you to waste any voice.
Want you to be able to talk in the exotic lounge.
Chris needs to have a drink.
All right, number 7. Number 7, the show call was on, and we'll have to talk about Ravenwood when, I don't know what we'll do.
I think we
That's-
got an email on was it
Yeah, we got
Ravenwood?
something on Ravenwood.
From
We got-
Matt.
Matt Ellis?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some things they've done.
All right, yeah.
All right. Number 8, the review is.
Same thing. I think
Same
you
thing.
represent both of those.
All right. And number 9,
I'm in agreement.
you okay with that? Okay. Number 10.
Myself and Clay, we're in agreement with
Yeah,
that.
good with
Yeah,
that.
he's good with
I walked by that place this morning. That's gonna be.
It's gonna be
neat.
nice.
Right there in 5 Points?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but,
Kind of
hey,
like
gonna be here.
Hempstead.
I love to see those young people doing all that. That's wonderful.
Yes, that is.
And they'll be here tonight to talk a little bit about
Good,
it.
yeah, that's representative. All right, number 11 would be the
Appointment.
appointments, museum appointment by you,
This is you,
Ms.
Marcia.
Johnson, you got that one?
Yes.
And then number 12 is my appointment to the Architecture Review Board. Number 13 is my Board of Adjustment appointment. 15 is the one tear down at 1429 Maxwell Boulevard. Okay, and number 16 is the abatements. Okay, that covers what we got, and then we don't have anybody to talk to us, but we did have some people that wanted to, Mr. Stivers wanted to talk to us about something that happened in his business over the holiday. Mr. Stivers, you want to talk?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come down and visit with you today. I'm overly concerned as a business person about the gunplay and violence in Montgomery. This is not just a New Year's thing. It's an all-year thing. Our insurance rates are triple what they were 10 years ago. We are patching our roofs on a monthly basis. Found myself underneath a used car this spring in the middle of a gunfight at 9 in the morning on the bypass, and nobody responded. We've had about 40 cars shot up this year. I'm getting ready to come to you all and want to build a new Infinity and Lincoln facility at the request of both manufacturers. I'm having to fight both manufacturers because neither of them want either business located within the city of Montgomery. That's rough. We have to do something about this. We've grown this business from about 40 employees to about 120, and from about 25 million in sales to 170. We have plans to greatly expand our business here, build these 2 independent luxury stores, build an upfit center, build a parts warehouse. But I have the manufacturers telling me no. Every single day, we're dealing with internet leads from consumers that don't want to come to our location because they consider it to be unsafe. We need your help. I mean, as a business person, this city has been so good to me and my family. And I say this passionately. We have had such a good run here in Montgomery, and I'm faced with a decision. Do I move the business? What do I do? And I'm not the only person. This is facing all of us. You listen to the Ring doorbells, not just at New Year's, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It sounds like Mosul. We have to fix this. It's hard. I'm a business person. You all are politicians. We've got to make some tough decisions around here. You guys have done such admirable work. Look how you've restructured the debt. Look at the jobs you've brought here. Look how you've funded education. Look at all the work that you have done to improve this city. You're on a roll. And the only thing that is stopping growth, the only thing that's keeping people are leaving. And the reason is crime and violence. I mean, we're down to 380 police officers? This place needs 800. I drive down by the bypass on a daily basis. I'm not just here to complain. I'm not good at that. I generally, for a living, I manage things. I take difficult situations and I find solutions no matter how hard they are, and I implement them. That's what I do in business. You all have to do that. I mean, I'm asking questions. Do we need to scale things so we can get more money on the street and combine city and county public safety? Do we need to work with other cities and counties around this great state to push sentencing reform so we can actually lock up the bad folks? So when you break into cars 25 times, you actually do time. If you're a felon in possession of a firearm, you actually go to jail for a year instead of jumping in and out of the system every 3 or 4 days. There's no consequence. And there's no wonder your police officers don't want to do their job. Why do they want to risk pulling a car over for a traffic violation when they know there's a gun in there? Because they're going to take them down to the detention center and they're going to bond out and there's no consequence. We can't go back and rewind history and fix the inequities of our education system. We can't fix some of the bad parenting that's occurred in our communities. But what we can do is move forward together. We can make hard decisions. We can do hard things. We can address these problems like we address business problems. We can come up with the solutions, and we can steel our spine and make these things happen. And I'm here to tell you, it's the only way we're going to have a fine city in 10 years. I mean, Mayor Reed, you can do all the great things you've done, and you've done a lot of great things in helping to promote getting big businesses to come in here, building jobs, restructuring debt. I've seen what you've done. You've been a guy on a mission. You all worked together to get our education system funded when nobody said it could be done. What we have to do today is we have to give our law enforcement officers the tools they need to enforce the law. And that's not just a city and county thing, that's a state thing. And then we got to scale our stuff so that we have enough money to put enough bodies on the street that can do the job. And we need to clean this city up. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You know, anecdotally, I know this is going to sound, it's going to come off wrong, but it illustrates the problem. 5 years ago, I had a group that I played golf with once a month on Friday afternoons. It was my great respite. And there were 24 gentlemen between the ages of 35 and 50. Do you know how many are left in Montgomery right now? 4. They've all left. You cannot take the $75,000 to $200,000 wage earners in this town and spread them out into the neighboring communities and have a city left. I can't walk in and explain to my staff how to talk customers into coming to my location that it actually is safe, knowing full well that we got an entire row of cars with the windows shot out again. You've got to give your public safety folks the tools to do the job. I'm begging you. I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't want a dealership in Pike Road. I want it right there on the bypass. I don't want to build my Lincoln and my Infinity buildings anywhere else. I want to do it. I want to be right here. The city's been darn good to me. It's been great to my employees and great to my family, and I don't want to go anywhere. And I need your help, and that's it.
Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate you.
And we don't want you to go anywhere.
We don't want you going anywhere. We're going to look at it. Thank you. All right. Council, we don't have anything else on the agenda right now. We'll adjourn till 5 o'clock. Come back
Charlie,
together
can I
at
ask you a question?
Yeah.
You brought it up.
Yeah.
Mayor, have we ever, and I know we share some things, I think we used to share IT and a couple of other things with the county. Have we ever looked at a city-county police department, a metro police department, or?
Not that I know of, since I've been at the county since 2012. Not since I've been at the city since 2019. So
think
it
it's worth-
happened before both of those.
Do you think it's worth us exploring? I mean,
I don't.
Because, you know, like he said, the struggle is getting officers. That's the struggle. And, you know, we can do all the videotapes and everything we want to do. But in today's world, as you know, and it ain't Montgomery, it's all across the country, nobody wants to be a policeman anymore.
Yep.
Because it's the world we live in today. And, you know, Eddie made a good point. You know, if it does work, just combining where we have 400 and they have 200, and all of a sudden we're at a magic number of 600, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I don't know. I don't know the answer to it.
I don't think the challenge for us or any city is necessarily how many police. You can talk to any mayor you want to talk to. And I think I've talked to more than anybody around, both in this state and out of the state. There's not a mayor in Alabama who doesn't want more police officers.
Right.
There's also not a mayor in Alabama that's going to tell you if you doubled or tripled it, that's going to address their issues. Now, some of the things we do plan to address, we've talked about some of them with the bond issues that Mr. Stiver has brought up, and the district attorney has supported us on that. And the judges are supporting us on that, which is good. Chief Harris is meeting with the county sheriff as well as Aaliyah and our federal partners here about collaborative efforts, if you will, to disrupt some of the criminal activity. And what we've seen is we've seen a drop in robberies. We've seen a drop in those types of crimes. What we have not seen has been the drop in violent crime. We've seen an uptick in that, right? And that's happening nationally. Nationally in 2021, cities from D.C. to Birmingham to ours surpassed historic numbers in terms of deaths, unfortunately. A lot of those stem from domestic incidents. A lot of them stem from illegal activity that is taking place and that escalates very quickly. And as it relates to Mr. Stiver's property as well as that of others, and he and I have had this conversation before, you know, we've talked about investing in ShotSpotter technology. We have pledged, I think, out of the bond new allocation, I think we pledged at least $500,000, if not more, to ShotSpotter technology and the use of more license plate readers. Now, here's what we can do. Mr. Stires can help us, and so can his association. Now, when legislation comes up as it relates to access to guns, and you have this happening at the state level, not the city level, we can use help from the Automobile Dealers Association. So when we have this legislation that comes up around access to guns, loopholes in gun shows, and we have people that are sending in minors or they're sending in their girlfriends because they do have a felony to get access to assault rifles, then we can use some help there. So I don't need people hiding behind the NRA then. I don't need people hiding behind the Second Amendment then, because that ain't gonna help our police officers. They're outmanned, they're outgunned. So there are some things that we can do to close some loopholes around access to guns and semi-automatic and automatic rifles. And we can also address the issues and the loopholes that go on with these gun shows as well. Because you want to know where a major problem is? They ain't getting no AR-15 off the backseat of my truck or somebody else's pickup truck. They're getting that somewhere else. So we want to get down, we want to drill down in it. Let's drill down into the gun trafficking, and let's drill down into who the bad actors are. And some of that can be assessed by state legislation that is passed, and state legislation that unfortunately we deal with at the city and the county level.
And Mayor, if this council needs to pass whatever resolution and ask other municipalities across the state, I think that'd be a wonderful thing that we should do and get out in front of. You know, the bill that Chief Harris and Darrell were working on about the open carry law. I mean, I think we all, as a council, ought to get in front of it and get out and ask Mobile and Tuscaloosa and whoever else.
In our last meeting, and I think Charles was a part of this, we mentioned bringing that up, and I think CC was part of this conversation to the League of Municipalities of doing just that, of passing a resolution here, taking it to the League of Municipalities. I would then take it to the Big Ten Mayors Association as well to try to increase that support and awareness, because you'll hear that from sheriffs and you'll hear that from chiefs as well. That's a big issue. And then part of the thing is, you know, we certainly have to understand that you know, today's culture is different. And I don't mind saying this in public, what I've said in private. You know, there were days when we got in fights, all right? So we got in fights right here in Montgomery, Alabama. I can tell you where I lost some and where I won a couple. But the fights didn't escalate as they do now. And so disagreements are as old as mankind. So we don't have to go, we understand that lesson, right? The difference is how quickly things escalate and how deadly it is. And talking to the police officers as I have, the thing that they've shared with me is there's a sense of, I'm going to get you before you get me. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know what you have. So unfortunately, that's a lot that we're dealing with, and that's certainly not on our police, it's not on our sheriffs, it's not on our troopers or our federal law enforcement partners. A lot of that is on the individual, a lot of that is on the culture and the community, and those are things, you know, we seek to change, and we just have to understand that through technology and ShotSpotters, through additional police, everything that we're doing, that it doesn't happen overnight, and it's going to take all of us working together in order to address that. Our faith leaders, our grassroots leaders, our community leaders, all of us, and those are the preeminent conversations that we have across this city. If there's one thing that, you know, we hear in any meeting that I'm a part of, it is that. It is the gunshots. It is the concern, whether they're in North Montgomery and Brookview, or whether they're in parts of South Montgomery and Cross Creek. It doesn't matter, or Spring Valley, it doesn't matter. Those are the things that we hear, and those are things that we're trying to address. But I want to say this is because this is the last meeting we'll have before the legislature starts. There are things that the business community can do to help us. There are things that the business community can do to help law enforcement in this state. And all of those are things that as mayors again, regardless of the village, town, or city that you're in, that we're all dealing with and we all hear about and we're all trying to find out who has the magic answer. And the simple fact is none of us do.
Go ahead.
Very good.
Mr. President, on that note, and I think we know the legislature is coming in session next week, and we know those kind of bills is going to be presented before the legislature. I think as a coalition, as this group, we need to get out in front of that and let them know that we oppose these type things because we're faced with this daily in our city and all the municipalities because of the laws that they're made, and they don't have to see this on a first and third Tuesday that comes up. They can pass the laws, go back into their counties and hide out, and we're faced with those things every day. So we need to make our voices heard in this legislative session because we know the bills are up there. Right. We know they're coming out, and we oppose it because we're faced with this every day, and we need to come together as a council, leadership, and go out there and let our legislators know that we don't support this kind of action in the state of Alabama.
Exactly.
Well, and I'm done, but I think, Mayor, that we as a city have to be more proactive in trying to get that number up from our number of police officers that we have. And I don't have a magic answer. You know, I know that some other cities and municipalities across the state, and I know they can't because of the City County Personnel Board, but if we can look at bonuses for people that are coming to work to sign up and they got to give us 3 years back or whatever. But
Already doing that. We look at reimbursements for additional education.
And see, we used to do that, and I don't know when that went away. We used to do that.
Well, that was brought back last year, and we even look at lateral moves as well to try to help out on the retainment side. So we kind of added a little bit last year to that. So trust me, any
we have
incentive we can have, we try to bring it in. But if you got some more that are out there, let me know.
And I don't. But I do know the problem that if we don't try to get these numbers up in any way possible whatsoever, and I know Chief Harris is doing everything she can.
Let's let her address it.
Yeah, but we're going to have another problem because it's the world, as we were talking about, it's the world we live in.
Yeah.
And when the sun goes down in Montgomery, we ought to be able to have 2 police officers in a car wherever we are, or we're going to be facing another situation, whether it's this year or 5 years from now.
Well, you know, we passed a motion right here when I first got in to fund that through an occupational tax. And this body passed that now. This body passed it. I ain't talking about nobody that did on this body. And we were overwritten because we were going to fund those 2 officers in the car. So
trust me, I couldn't leave the county lines for a long time.
So again, like the pro tem was saying, the state does some things, and it's not just us. The county deals with it. The DAs are backlogged in terms of their, you were talking about putting people in jail. They're backlogged, hundreds of cases in the courts. That's a county issue, and there are things that the county deals with that, again, comes from decisions that are made at the state level, and they don't have to deal with it day to day. They don't hear the stories that y'all hear, or the stories that I get when I go to a meeting, or we have some type of conversation with community folks. But the laws are passed there, and granted, we've got to pick up the bag, and that's our responsibility. And I think we're trying to do that. Chief, I'll let you.
Real quick, Chief, before you start, because I know this is something that you're working on, and Mayor, I hope that this is something that we'll see from the Office of Violence and Prevention. But Council, as on the ground level, what we can do is support our nonprofits that are working with conflict resolution. Because a lot of the issues we know are escalating because they do not know how to de-escalate the problems that they're having within the culture and the community. So as we're waiting on officers and as we're doing all the recruiting and interviewing that we can do on our level, what we can do as our councilmen and just individual community members is work with our neighborhoods and work with our nonprofits that are really in the community trying to do conflict resolution. We have many that are in the schools, and we know that a lot of this stuff is happening in our public schools. We have it happening in our neighborhoods. So we can do a lot of things to help stop issues and violence in our community by doing just that. And then if that's us giving money to the nonprofits or just helping them amplify their message so that more people can go to them, that's a start, and it's a cheap start.
Good point.
Very well said.
Good point. Chief?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add and just let it be known to everyone that the mayor's office and City Hall, the mayor has been very supportive of public safety throughout this whole thing, from the technological advances with the expansion of ShotSpotter. allowing us to have the money for the fleet and looking at also trying to bring on more police officers through lateral entry hire program. One of the things that we noticed when we went up in the pay grade with the incentive across the board pay raise for public safety, that it put a disadvantage for the lateral hires, the ones who already have police experience. We presented a plan to the mayor's office, and that was something that was approved. So that's also a recruitment tool that's going to bring lateral experienced police officers to our city. Also, on the police department side, to address some of the issues that we're seeing with the increased crime, we are working with the clergy-based community, having meetings with them and seeing if they can do a clergy-based community action group through our chaplain and our department, working with the Stop the Violence campaign. We're also working with the various community members throughout the city, and we're working with other organizations. So it's not just a police tool or solution that we're trying to apply to the problem. We are looking at it collectively from every community resource. We do have the support, and I appreciate the mayor for being I was on a text earlier today with 7 police chiefs throughout the state of Alabama, and one of them asked, do we have the mayor's support on this legislation where we're trying to go against permitless carry? I was proud to say that I was the first one that has spoken to my mayor about it and let them know that he's been supportive about it and speaking at city council on it. They too are following suit and speaking with their mayors. A few weeks back, we had a regional law enforcement meeting up in Prattville with the DA's Association, with police chiefs and sheriffs addressing the issue of the permitless carry bill that's trying to be passed. So since then, we've been trying to spread the word throughout the state of Alabama, not just here in Montgomery, trying to get the support of the community as well as other law enforcement agencies and partners, how important it is for us to make sure we're vocal about how this particular bill will affect law enforcement, allowing an 18-year-old to carry a firearm without a permit. This year alone, I think we mentioned at the last city council meeting, the sheriff's office noted that they've denied at least 400 pistol permits for people who are not eligible to carry. If this bill passes, there's no denial those people will have those weapons. So it's that important to put the message out there. It's that important for the city to know that we do have the support of City Hall. And the mayor's been right at the forefront of all of this. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was clear on that, and any other questions, we can address those as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Anybody else got anything? Let's adjourn till 5 o'clock.